Alexa, Donne here, and today I'm sharing some of my fall favorites with a little bit of cheating because some of these carry over from the summer. But this is my first quarterly, we're gonna make this a thing, favorites video, because I get so into things, especially like TV and makeup and occasionally like music and movies, and I want to talk about them, but this channel's about books and writing, and I can't. But I'm going to. So I thought I would share some of the things that basically I'm obsessed with right now or have been with recently. Starting with TV, because I watch an obscene amount of television. Like, if you knew how much TV I watched, if you realized, you'd go, Alexa, how do you write books and have a day job and make videos and all of that? And I actually still get like 8 hours of sleep, by the way. I don't know, I have a gift for watching a lot of television. So the things I am just totally obsessed with this fall. I'm gonna start with the big one, which is The Haunting of Hill House. This series, guys, first of all, I don't even like horror. I don't. And I actually hesitated to watch it for about a week, but I was hearing rumblings and I was like, okay, it's good and I don't want to be spoiled. And I heard Oculus was amazing. Another thing I haven't seen because I don't like horror movies, but now I'm gonna see it. So I started to watch it and I closed my eyes for a lot. I kind of did like this to watch a lot of it. But the thing is, it's actually not that scary. There's very limited jump scares and I loved this. I loved it so much I have watched episodes again since I watched it the first time. Like I did some rewatches immediately. And that is because this is not really a horror show. It's not just a horror show. The Haunting of Hill House is layered. It is psychological. It has thriller aspects. It's really a character-driven show, and character-driven things are my favorite. I'm interested in character psychology and relationships and history, and this show in particular examines mental health and grief and loss and ghosts. There are ghosts. There is a creepy house, but it's about so much more than that. And it was just a beautiful character study, immaculately realized. Like the cinematography and the lighting and the sound design. I mean, there's also a whole episode. It has a single shot that is 18 minutes long. And I didn't even realize it until later. I was like, holy shit, that was a single tracking shot. Amazing, just incredibly done. I recommend anyone, even if you don't like horror, but anyone who can even partway stomach things that are a little bit scary to watch this show. If you're unsure because you, like me, you're like, I don't like horror movies, and I don't. I haven't seen 90% of the horror movies that everyone has seen because I don't like them. I especially hate torture porn. I don't like gore. I recommend you give it a try because this is possibly my favorite thing I have seen on TV in the calendar year of 2018. I think it's gonna be really, really hard to beat. It's one of the best anthology shows that's come out on any platform in a really long time, so I recommend you watch it. The next TV show is also something I binged on Netflix. You're gonna notice the theme. It's so funny, I subscribe to so many services. I have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Starz, and HBO, and yet the majority of what I watch is on Netflix. That's how they get you. And that is the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Hardly new, but as I was revising my book to The Stars We Steal, I re-marathoned the entire show from the beginning. Kimmy Schmidt is one of my favorite go-tos when I just need something like both light and heavy. It has heavy, real, emotional stuff in it, but I love how witty and kind of irreverent it is. I love the music. Titus Andromedon is the best, and it's one of those shows because I have watched Kimmy Schmidt start to finish at least 3 or 4 times, so like I'm really familiar with it. I put it on a couple times a year, start to finish, because I can have it on and I can work while it's on, and you know, some episodes I pay more attention to because I'm on a break, but I love really smart half-hour comedies for when I need to both work but also need something light for my brain because I'm really stressed out, which brings me to the other TV show that has been really huge for me this fall, The Good Place. I love The Good Place. So again, in anticipation of season 3, I rewatched all of The Good Place, the first 2 seasons, start to finish, which were on Netflix, in anticipation of the start of the new season, which is airing now, which I have also been watching. The Good Place, they say it's the smartest show on television, and that is completely accurate. I just love the way that it tackles philosophy, human relationships, in its own way, kind of damage and grief, especially if you've been watching season 3, and again, if you haven't watched The Good Place, watch and catch up. The last episode made me cry because it was so beautiful seeing these characters who are very broken people have moments of catharsis, and really seeing these characters grow and become better people. That's what you want from story, and in general, I recommend The Good Place if you want to watch, get good craft tips for both very plot-driven stuff. The Good Place is incredibly plot-driven, it's very high concept, but it has incredible character development, so it's one of my favorites. And I didn't properly kind of explain Kimmy Schmidt, I just kind of breezed by it. What I like best about Kimmy Schmidt, so if you're not familiar, it's about a girl who was kidnapped when she was 15 and she's held in a bunker for 15 years, and then she comes out and she's 30 and she emotionally in many ways is still 15 but has also suffered immense trauma, and she moves to New York, and it's a comedy with music in it. But it's a comedy, but it actually deals with her PTSD in sometimes comedic ways, of course, but over the course of multiple seasons. And it tackles sexual assault and essentially Me Too in that sense. But I really like the way that Kimmy Schmidt examines trauma and healing and PTSD, and how there are no simple solutions to things. I really like it, though my only quibble with Kimmy Schmidt is that occasionally it's really, really clear from all of the 90s references that Kimmy is my age. All of her references from when she was kidnapped, she was like 14, are from when I was the same age. Like, all of the 90s references are very specifically 1996, 1997, and occasionally not occasionally, they flub her age. Her age is wrong, and it drives me crazy because I'm turning 35, and I'm like, there's no way for Kimmy to have been a teenager when that stuff happened. But the point is, I love the show. And last but certainly not least is another thing that I binged on Netflix, and I just binged it so it's fresh, so I'm going to talk about it, and that is a little BBC miniseries called Bodyguard. It stars Hot Rob Stark from Game of Thrones, aka Richard Madden. He's got a beautiful Scottish brogue. And Keely Hawes, who is a wonderful British actress. I have been a fan of Keely Hawes since, for at least 15 years. She was on Spooks way back in the day. You might know it as MI5 here in the US. She was also on one of my all-time favorite obscure television shows, which is Ashes to Ashes, which was the sequel to Life on Mars, and no one's heard of it. And she actually got a lot of flack for that role, but I thought she was amazing. So big fan of Keely Hawes. So the show is about a former soldier who returns home. In the first episode, I wasn't expecting this, he thwarts a terrorist attack, a bomb, a suicide bomber, which put a little tick in that, because I have a caveat for this show, we're gonna come back to it, but I wasn't expecting it to be that, because the general concept from the trailer is he becomes the bodyguard to the Home Secretary in the UK, and it's Keely Hawes, and it's like, forbidden romance, and I was like, I'm here for forbidden romance because I'm trash. But the first episode, I was really surprised. The first 20 minutes, it's this incredibly tense scene of him talking down a suicide bomber and basically saving everyone's lives. And I was like, this show is a little much. But it really goes kind of in depth into his mental health issues, but in a very subtle way. I was actually impressed. They never say that he has PTSD, but it's clear that he does. It is the epitome, the beautiful epitome of show don't tell and trusting that your audience isn't stupid. And I really appreciated that. So it's a good show. It has a lot of shocks and it has a lot of twists. And my caveat to it, so I devoured it. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little upset about one of the twists, kind of mad about it, but it did shock me, so good job. My one caveat, and maybe this warrants a caveat overall, because I finished it and went, you know what, I really enjoyed this show, but I don't think I could recommend it to any of my Muslim friends. I'm like, that probably means the show is racist and garbage, but I'm on the fence about it. There are 3 major, important characters of color, 2 of whom are definitely Muslim, but the way that it kind of approaches terrorism is it does it in a very British way. A lot of British series do this, where I'm kind of like, you're a little bit racist. So that's my caveat for the show. I don't care for the way that they kind of portray Islamic terrorism, but yeah. And mostly I feel that way because of something that happens in the last episode, which I can't spoil. So it's kind of like a show that comes with caveats, because it's like, I definitely recommend it for the slow burn forbidden romance, and it's very exciting, but it might be racist. Yay. Next is movies, and I'm gonna cheat with 2 of these because I can, because it's my video. These are movies that came out in the summer, but I'm still kind of high-key, low-key obsessed with them now in the fall, especially because Mamma Mia 2 just came out on Blu-ray and I bought it immediately. So this is my first obsession, Mamma Mia 2. So I saw this in the summer. I wept like a silly, silly baby in the movie theater. If you've seen this, you know why. If you haven't, so a little bit of Mamma Mia history for you. I love Mamma Mia. I love ABBA. I'm like high-key obsessed with ABBA. I have been for a long time because I was the coolest 9-year-old ever, and ABBA Gold was my second ever CD. I know you want to be friends with me. I've seen the musical Mamma Mia, the stage musical, 4 times. I think I saw it twice in London, once in Boston. Maybe I've seen it 3 times. Point is, I love it. Don't love the Mamma Mia movie, the first one, 2008. I have seen it twice. It's fine. It's fine. It was fine. It was definitely a movie version of the stage musical, but for me it didn't quite capture what the stage musical did. So because the stage musical knew it was ridiculous. The stage musical is ridiculous. It doesn't really take itself seriously, and it's a dumb story. It's an exceedingly dumb story, Mamma Mia. So the movie's fine, and then this one came out and I love it. I love it more than the first one. It is the superior movie, and the reason is it has its own story. They created a story that is also in its own way a little bit stupid, but it has a plot arc, it has multiple character arcs, A plots, B plots, you care. I actually think it works in their favor that a lot of the music is more obscure ABBA songs, because there's a larger focus on story in this one. There's far fewer songs. The first movie jam-packs like 22 songs into a movie, and I think this one is like 15, maybe 16, and some of them are very short. And I just love what they did with this. And the other reason Mamma Mia 2 is better, they cast people who could sing and only let the singers sing. Because in the first one, so many of them, I'm like, you're a great actor and you cannot sing, please stop. So this one, they took care with the young characters. So essentially it's an origin story for the older characters of Mamma Mia, for the Sophie's mom, for Meryl Streep as a young woman, played by Lily James, who was one of the best things in the movie. She knew what movie she was in. She was like, I'm going to be a huge dork the entire time, and I'm gonna sing my heart out and I'm gonna act like a complete idiot, and it works. It works perfectly. She is a delight to watch. So the people who sing songs are people who can sing. Makes it much better. And then they do something very clever with Meryl Streep in this movie. I can't tell you more. All I can tell you is I cried. I cried so hard. This movie, the story just really spoke to me in terms of like the themes of mothers and daughters and kind of motherhood, even though I'm not a mother yet. But it tugged at every single heartstring I have. I cried. I love it. I've been listening to the soundtrack obsessively, so we're not gonna do a music section, but if we did, the Mamma Mia 2 soundtrack would be in there, because I have been obsessively listening to When I Kissed the Teacher, which is a ridiculous song. It's also really kind of gross if you actually listen to the lyrics. Angel Eyes, which is one that I hadn't really ever heard, which makes me a bad ABBA fan, and My Love, My Life, for similar reasons, but the rewrite of it for the movie breaks me. So Mamma Mia 2. The other one, Mission Impossible Fallout. This is the box set for the other movies that I bought immediately after seeing Mission Impossible Fallout, because I didn't own them all. One of the best movies I've seen all year. I would say arguably the best Mission Impossible movie, except Ghost Protocol, still my favorite. But definitely a fall favorite because I am eagerly anticipating Fallout coming out. I've thought about it. I listened to a 3-hour podcast interview with the director, Christopher McQuarrie, so I think that means it counts as a fall favorite because I listened to that podcast in September. So, fall favorite. Next is a horror movie, and I know what you're thinking, Alexa, you hideous liar, you said you don't like horror. I know, but Halloween just happened, it's fall. Don't you expect me to bring spooky favorites for fall? You do. And so I have an exception in the horror genre, which is really psychological thriller. I can deal with certain horror movies if they're just character driven enough and just psychological thriller enough, and I can close my eyes at key parts, which I do, because I'm a wuss. So The Orphanage is one of my all-time favorite horror movies, which is really funny because until Halloween this year, I had only seen it once, and that is because it ruined me so thoroughly after I saw it the first time, which was 7, 8 years ago. It broke me. The movie broke me. I have talked about it ever since. I have reluctantly recommended it to people. I always quiz them. I'm like, I'll ask them key questions that I can't even say because it'll spoil the movie. I'm like, so how do you feel about this? And if they give the wrong answer, I'm like, never watch The Orphanage because it's gonna ruin your life. So The Orphanage came out in 2007. It was directed by J.A. Bayona, who is part of the Guillermo del Toro friend posse. He's friends with Guillermo del Toro and Alfonso Cuarón on all of them, and most recently directed Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. And it is a ghost story. It's a legit ghost story. Ghosts are real. Like, there are ghosts in the movie. It's about a woman who grew up in an orphanage but was adopted when she was 7, and she moved away, and as an adult she has purchased the orphanage with her husband and brought their young son there, her 7-year-old son. He has HIV, he's HIV positive, and they're caring for him, and they want to renovate the orphanage so it's a care home for children with special needs. They're never quite exactly clear whether it's special needs or kids who are sick. Her husband's a doctor. Point is, they want it to be a care home for kids. And they're renovating the house, and it's spooky immediately. You're kind of like, okay, they're like, the 7-year-old son is convinced that there are children in the house and they're playing games with him, and he leads his mom on a scavenger hunt, blah, blah, blah. They renovate the house, and on the opening day party, the son goes missing. The son goes missing, and the mom sees this creepy little child with this creepy mask on. I'm gonna tell you, when I saw it the first time, it scared the shit out of me. It honestly did. This mask is so creepy, and it's a creepy little child with a mask, and he's mean. Things happen. Point is, her son goes missing, and she sees the creepy boy in the little mask, and she's like, he's in the cave. The boy led him into the cave. So her son goes missing and is missing for 6 months, and the story jumps forward 6 months, and it's basically a ghost story from there, because she wants to know what happened to her son, and she starts to experience phenomena in the house, and they bring in a psychic who's played by Geraldine Chaplin, who is Charlie Chaplin's daughter. Fun fact, very good actress. And I can't tell you more except to say, like, it has an ending. I will not call it a twist ending. But it is one of those endings that kind of changes the way you view the entire movie. And it is the most upsetting thing I have ever seen in my life. So I rewatched it on Halloween, and it's still upsetting. It's less scary, because you know what's gonna happen. But it's still one of the most devastating things I've ever seen in my entire life. So if you want to see a very smart, layered, intense, upsetting horror story, it's more of a ghost story. It's a ghost story in the way that The Others is a ghost story, meaning it's a creepy old house and there are ghosts. I recommend it. It might break you. It broke me. It's haunted me for like 8 years. I'm still upset. Still upset. It's upsetting. And last but not least, for movies, this is a weird oldie but goodie, and I'm just gonna talk about it. And it is Baby Boom from 1987, starring Diane Keaton, directed by Nancy Meyers. Her first movie directing, by the way. Why am I talking about a movie from 1987? Because this is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's a fall favorite because I rewatched it again recently. It's on streaming, though I own it on DVD, because that's how intense I am. It's just one of my all-time favorite movies, one of my all-time favorite rom-coms, though it's not a straightforward rom-com. It's one of the best movies from the 80s, which was honestly kind of a garbage decade for movies. I love it. If you're younger, which many of you are, and you've never heard of it, I honestly highly recommend it. It holds up incredibly well. The only thing that you really notice is the lack of technology. Like, they don't have, well, they actually have those like old school cell phones, but there's no internet, and there's a plot about starting a business where you're like, wow, that would work really differently today. What's the catalog? But the New York stuff, the like businesswoman versus mom stuff, the like uptight New York moms obsessing about getting their kids into daycare has not changed. I was actually like, oh, holy shit, that's still really accurate how aggro that whole system is. It's about a high-powered career woman. She works at, I think it's an advertising agency. It's honestly still not clear to me, and I've seen this movie like 10, 15 times, who inherits a baby, which yes, is as bonkers as it sounds. She has a distant cousin who dies, and she is their only living relation. I feel like that wouldn't happen now. And she inherits a baby, and it completely changes her life. And I love everything about it. So when I finished my revisions, I watched Baby Boom, and it was like a balm to my soul. And it just reminded me how much I love that movie, and I think you should all watch it. Yeah. It's streaming. I either watch it on Starz or Amazon Prime. I'll figure it out. I'll put it down in the comments. And The Orphanage is on Starz. I'll let you know how and where I streamed each of these things. All right, we're gonna quickly do some miscellaneous fall favorites. The first one is sweaters, and I'm not wearing one. And that's actually because today it is a little bit warm in Los Angeles, but generally sweaters, it is sweater weather, kind of, again, Los Angeles. But I've brought out the cardigans, and it brings me such joy. I love sweaters. I love wearing sweaters. I honestly wish I lived somewhere where I could wear more sweaters, wear them year round, because I love them. I have a lot of cardigans in my collection, and then when it gets really chilly, I upgrade to a light sweat jacket, which I also love, a hoodie. Hoodies and sweaters, fall, yay. And now I expect you think I'm gonna say pumpkin spice, but I'm not, because I don't care for pumpkin spice. I don't dislike pumpkin spice, but I'm not a pumpkin spice girl, so I'm not gonna say it, so. I have been drinking a lot of cold brew though. That can count as a fall favorite. I have been doing venti cold brews from Starbucks a lot. That's mostly because I discovered cold brew as I was revising my book too, and now I have a problem. So I drink way too much cold brew. Now, in TV, I talked about The Good Place, so in this MISC section, I'm going to talk about The Good Place, the podcast. This has become one of my favorite podcasts, and it is a podcast about The Good Place. That's all it is. Essentially, there's an episode for every single episode of the TV show. It's hosted by Mark Evan Jackson, who plays Sean on The Good Place, and because it is produced by the show, it is an official podcast. It's got everyone. Mike Shore does stuff, Kristen Bell, Ted Danson, all of the actors do interviews on the show. The writers, they have costume designers, they have the special effects people. Anyone you can think of who works on The Good Place does the podcast, different episodes of the podcast. So they talk about each episode, and they talk about, you know, how the show came about. And of course, it's perfect if you watch The Good Place and love The Good Place, but well, if you don't, you should watch The Good Place and then listen to The Good Place podcast, because it goes a lot more in depth into the philosophy, for example. In fact, there's an episode that interviews the philosophical advisor who works on the show. You learn a lot more about kind of the character and craft stuff that went into The Good Place. So I find as a writer, it's really fascinating. And it's my favorite podcast right now. It's an auto listen every week. And, you know, all through September, I basically binge listened to every episode because they started posting it this summer, so it's definitely a fall favorite. My next fall favorite quickly is Nyx Epic Liner, because Kat Von D is an anti-vaxxer and I had to find a backup eyeliner, and I found this one. It's my dupe, so it's like $9. It has a brush applicator, which I prefer to the felt tip ones, which always get damaged on the ends really easily, and when I'm buying like a $22 eyeliner, I don't want that to happen, so I like the brush ones. And so this is a pretty good dupe. It's not as good as the $22 eyeliner, but can't support an anti-vaxxer. This is really kind of a summer favorite. I found the dupe in the summer, but I'm cheating and counting it for fall because it continues to be my go-to. Also in makeup, hardcore fall favorite is ColourPop. Specifically, I want to talk about Supershock shadows. These got me through all of the travel I had to do this fall. I did a ton of book travel, and I didn't want to bring a ton of eye makeup, but I still wanted to kind of do my eye looks because I enjoy them, and ColourPop was a lifesaver because I could just throw these Supershock shadows in my bag. They're not bulky, and they're meant to be applied with your finger, which meant I didn't have to pack all of my eyeshadow brushes. Really, really good. I literally wore these two colors at every event that I did. Champagne gold and a rose gold. And then more recently, that I'm wearing right now, I bought some pink ones. So I bought a super intense pink, and kind of a light sparkly pink, kind of hard to see, but I'm wearing them right now if you can kind of see those colors. I just love the Supershock formula. They hold glitter very, very well. That you have to apply with your finger if you want to keep all of the color and the pigment and the glitter and actually have it on your eye. I've tried it with a brush applicator. It doesn't work quite as well, but they're blendable. I love the shine and the variety of the colors. So ColourPop, huge lifesaver. Also, their creamy matte lipsticks have been really big for me this fall. First of all, how cute is the packaging? It's a little gold, rose gold thing. It has stars on it, and if you open it up, there's stars on the lipstick. So these come in a wide variety of colors, and they're $7. $7 for a nice creamy matte. I find that they don't dry out my lips. It's really good color. It stays for a really long time. I mean, what else can you ask for in a lipstick? Oh, and I should mention these Supershocks are $5 each. Like, I love ColourPop generally. It's a fall favorite because, you know, as you know, I love makeup, but you know, I was spending insane amounts of money on all these fancy palettes from Sephora, and some things I would use more than others. And what I love is I actually use the ColourPop stuff I buy a lot, all the time, but even if I buy something and it's not my favorite, it was only $5 or it was only $7, so it doesn't really matter. ColourPop is my favorite affordable, exciting makeup, you know, company right now because it is exciting. They have really cool products. They've got a Disney princess line right now. I really like their stuff, but it's super affordable. And last but certainly not least, I'm gonna talk about my current fall obsession, which is The Sims. I love The Sims. I've always loved The Sims. It's something you would not know about me because I never talk about it, but I play a lot of video games, specifically PC games, and I've loved The Sims since Sims 3, which I know makes me a newer Sims fan. I know a lot of people are hardcore Sims 2 stans, but I wasn't someone who had a computer, like my own home computer, and a lot of money when I was younger, so I basically didn't get into gaming and PC gaming until I, you know, started making my own income. So I was a little bit older. Like, I didn't have my own computer until I was 18, just to give you context. Oh, The Sims. So I have had such mixed emotions about The Sims 4. If you are a Sims fan, you will know what this is. I don't need to give you background and context, but I'll link you down below to Lazy Game Reviews overview of problems with The Sims 4. It's one of my favorite videos. Really articulates my problem, and at this point, it's a few years old. They have made it better with the last few expansion packs. And so that's the thing. I got back into The Sims because the season's expansion was great. I also finally was like, just download some mods. I found some mods that make it more enjoyable. And the new expansion pack is called Get Famous. It introduces a fame system and celebrities, including a YouTube career. I'm so excited. Like, the last 2 weeks since this news dropped, I have been doing nothing but watching preview videos about The Sims 4 Get Famous. I am obsessed. It was one of the deciding factors for not doing NaNoWriMo because I'm like, well, The Sims Get Famous is coming out in the middle of the month, and you know I'm gonna binge play that for days, the entire weekend that it comes out. I'm just gonna sit at home and play a video game, so let's do that instead. I'm so hyped because it just suits my gameplay mode so perfectly. Like, everyone has a different way that they like to play The Sims. I like to play relationship based, I like people to fall in love. Then I like them to have kids. I like to play parenting, so I have all the expansions, but I like the parenting expansion. Because essentially I like to play like compatibility. I'll do romance so that my Sims are compatible and we'll make good parents, and I have them have kids, and then I parent the kids. And then I like to have their kids end up being really good at their careers. I do like career-based play. But the thing is, like, you build up skills for your Sims, and like, if you do that when they're kids, they become better adults. And I'm so hyped for this fame system, guys, because it suits my gameplay so well. Because, oh, the kids inherit the fame and I can build little celebrity families, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is a side of me you haven't seen before, like, cause you don't know my level of nerdery about some of these things. I also love other video games. If you just want, like, if you're curious about all the video games I play, I could make a video about that. So hyped for Sims 4. So hyped. And if you either haven't played Sims and you're like, maybe I should play Sims, or if you played a previous version of Sims, like Sims 2 or Sims 3, and you're like, maybe I should play Sims. I have so many feelings. I have recommendations, I have thoughts. I won't go on about it because I could ramble for an hour about like how to strategically get into playing The Sims, especially Sims 4, except to say, they have a Black Friday sale every year, Origin does, EA, and you can get video games at a discount. You're not gonna be able to get Famous at a discount. They never discount the new expansion pack, but they discount everything else. And so the best time to get into playing The Sims 4 is November. In fact, when I was playing Sims 3 on a budget, I only would buy Sims 3 expansions during the Black Friday sale, which meant I never had the newest expansions because they're $40. It's expensive. So yeah, that's my pro tip, because you'll be able to get most of the expansions for 20 bucks and the base game for cheap. So yeah, I love The Sims. This video is very long. I'm sorry. But let me know down below in the comments. I mean, if you liked this, if you liked hearing about these like things that I'm into, is there anything that you've been super into this fall that you think I should check out? Yeah, let me know. Give it a thumbs up if we should make this quarterly favorites thing a thing. The next one would be winter favorites, which I would probably do in like January. And I'll just kind of let you know what I'm into. And yeah, there were no books in this video. I do intend in the future to have books in it, but I've been in a reading slump, so no books in this one. So we'll save that for the next one. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week, usually not long rambles about movies and TV shows and video games, but usually about like writing and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, you are a hero. If you made it to the end, I mean, let me know, like that's your challenge. Let me know if you made it to the end of the video. Yeah, happy writing, but I guess like happy TV watching, movie watching, video game playing, makeup buying, makeup wearing, just happy fall. Happy fall. Yeah.